2025. That will bring the total of 48 so far that will be providing these facilities and replicating something similar to what we have.
Through this program, powered by TETFund, in collaboration with Innovate Hub, we have been equipped with the tools and strategies to translate research into tangible, impactful innovations.
Every policy begins and ends with the student. Through new hostels, eco-friendly campus transportation, digital experience centers, TETFund is ensuring no Nigerian child is left behind.
His Excellencies, Nigerian students have never had it good like we have it now. In the current administration of His Excellency, the President of Nigeria, His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we really appreciate his efforts in ensuring that students have adequate facilities across campuses through the TETFund. And we are very much aware that he has injected so much money into TETFund to ensure that the welfare of Nigerian students is protected and that students maximize the opportunities given to them to go to school and to learn. Excellency, sir, we can have students on campus, numerous students on campus. We can have thousands of lecturers on campus and management on campus. But if we do not have the infrastructural facilities, believe me that academics education learning will not be effective and efficient. It is on this note that we wish to thank the TETFund through your leadership for helping us, for ensuring that this institution have all the basic facilities students need to ensure that learning is efficient.
With over 100 billion naira dedicated to 18 medical colleges, Nigeria is training the next generation of doctors, nurses, pharmacists, and dentists, with medical simulation centers now redefining learning, improving patient safety, and preparing skilled professionals for tomorrow.
The Federal Ministry of Education, working closely with the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, has designed the TETFund Impact Intervention Project for medical schools rehabilitation across the 6 geopolitical zones. This project is a deliberate response to the urgent need to expand our medical training capacity by rehabilitating and modernizing key infrastructures, lecture theaters, laboratories, hostels, clinical learning environment to significantly increase enrollment in medicine, dentistry, pharmacy, and nursing programs across these selected 18 universities.
Today's event marks yet another bold step in our collective commitment to reposition Nigeria's medical education system and strengthen our national healthcare delivery through sustainable investment in infrastructure, research, and academic excellence.
But if we take a minimum of 5 years investing in medical sciences, the difference will be very clear. We will no longer be afraid of JAPA with regards to medical sciences. We will produce more, export more, especially to African and other countries, and arm more foreign exchange for our country.
The provision of critical manpower in the health sector remains a huge challenge and is often exacerbated by the JAPA syndrome. The problems of insufficient and unqualified medical personnel leading to high doctor-patient ratio and all the other indices that we are not very proud of have lingered for far too long. The challenges of ill-equipped medical facilities have also persisted. It is for these reasons that intervention is considered not only important, but also timely.
Powering education sustainably, TETFund and the Rural Electrification Agency are installing solar solutions across campuses. From Ebonyi to Jigawa, Akwa Ibom to Gombe, thousands of iconic projects are being completed, providing the foundation for quality learning. To boost food security, agricultural laboratories and commercial firms have sprung up across institutions, merging research with real-world production. Here, innovation grows alongside crops, turning knowledge into nourishment.
Nigeria is a great country in terms of endowment in two key areas, agriculture and mineral resources. If you go to any state in this country, so many minerals, a lot of it not adequately explored. And we are encouraging our researchers, exploration, exploitation, mining, and so on, and then the various uses. You give them the capacity to earn more. If you challenge Nigerians, they will give you the solution.
Through the Tertiary Education Research Application Service, TERAS, Nigeria's tertiary education system is uniting under one digital platform, linking research, identity, and innovation. From e-learning to plagiarism checks, TERAS drives the knowledge economy.
But we want to do a lot more, and the president is in a hurry. He wants us to transform this economy as quickly as we can, because if we don't, there's a loom. We're beginning to see it unraveling before our eyes. We're looking at key areas that have capacity for job creation. The first of this area is the area of ICT. We know that the world today has become so integrated. So we need to incorporate and teach, prepare our own young people. Let them have, here AI is exploding. There is no reason why we cannot take a lead in that area.
New centers of excellence now champion renewable energy, governance, and dairy research. Through partnership with global institutions, from the European Union Research Council to Campus France, Nigerian innovation is now a global conversation.
Of what the University of Sokoto have been able to accomplish with our Center of Excellence. You see, what we need, one, we need change agents, motivators. Two, we need consistency and congruency of goals. When people are committed, if you go there, if you look at the composition of the people who are involved in research there, it's not all these mundane Nigerian considerations. You see people from all over the country who are there working together harmoniously, rendering services. Do you know that state governments are even doing signing agreements with them to be taking Kano State government, for example, 30 patients for specific operations on very difficult operations that they normally would take to India. State governments are even sponsoring people to go there to go and do operations. This is the type of thing we do. It also fosters national integration and ensures that we use our best brains here.
With over 8,000 scholars trained for higher degrees in partnership between polytechnics and artisans, TETFund is blending knowledge with craftsmanship, aligning education with employment.
We must innovate, we must create, we must make new products, and through that, we must create wealth.
In 2024, the first National Research Fair, TETFund, showcased homegrown researchers and innovations.
I sold everything, including my shoes, to convert my ideas into a state where somebody will even look at me and listen to me.
What we ask TETFund to do is TETFund fund prototyping. You finish a research, you want to put the prototype. You need funding to do that. TETFund will be able to have a funding window for prototyping. that has scalability and market acceptability.
We need to look at our education. We need to look at our curriculum. That MSc or PhD program, what is it for? Is it for you to publish your papers on Thomson Reuters, or for you to begin to have products that can be patented and then over the period go to the market?
Within our challenges, we must continue to see the opportunities. Then you emphasize the need for data. There is no way we can make progress if we don't have data. The need for collaboration, and the last bit of your statement in relation to that is for the critical stakeholders within government to continue to work together collaboratively.
We would love to see a situation whereby participants from various institutions are increased in number. For me, I am one person impacted. We pray to God Almighty that the federal government of Nigeria will continue to support TETFund 100%. And we thank you for bridging the gap between research and enterprise. We believe that this will boost the economy of Nigeria through research.
While 130 new academic textbooks enrich libraries nationwide, written by Nigerian scholars for Nigerian students.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a fervent believer in developing the human capital of our country. And when you talk about human capital, what do you talk about? Education, health, and social protection. And this president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has been a president in the last 30 years. If you compare what this president has spent, has budgeted, has invested in education, health, and social protection, it's second to none.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has shown a deep commitment to the advancement of education, recognizing its fundamental role in driving national growth. This commitment is reflected in the prioritization of funding and policy reforms aimed at enhancing content development and building the capacity of our public tertiary educational institutions.
From lecture halls to laboratories, this achievement stands as a monument of progress, with visible proof of the renewed hope transforming campuses across Nigeria. The journey continues under the Renewed Hope initiative of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and through TETFund's visionary leadership. Education is powering Nigerians' transformation, a future where every student can dream, every lecturer can innovate, and every institution can thrive.
Thank you so very much. Testimonies acknowledging the place of TETFund in Nigeria's tertiary education. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's still a number of remarks I will be giving at today's town hall meeting. Let me at this point now invite the Chairman, Committee of Vice Chancellors, Professor Tanko Ishaya, to now speak to us at this town hall meeting. Let's appreciate the Chairman of the Committee of Vice Chancellors as it comes to the podium. Professor Tanko Ishaya, thank you.
Your Excellencies, the Chairman Board of Trustee of TETFund, Your Excellency, Right Honorable Aminu Bello Masari, CFR, and all the members of the TETFund BOT, the distinguished Chairman of the Senate Committee on TETFund, or Tertiary Education, distinguished Senator Danduse Masari Mohammed, all the distinguished senators here present, the Honorable Chairman, House Committee on TETFund and Other Services, Princess Miriam Onoha, the Executive Secretary of TETFund, and indeed all the management staff of TETFund. Let me acknowledge my boss, who is a presenter at today's occasion, the former Executive Secretary of NUC, Professor Abubakar Rashid Adamu. The immediate past president of ASU, Professor Osedeke, and my immediate past chairman is here, Professor Sagir Abbas, who handed over to me as the chairman of the Committee of Vice Chancellors. Esteemed and distinguished guests here present, the honorable ministers that are here, present and ably represented, the esteemed vice chancellors, rectors, provosts, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the press, good afternoon. It is with great honor and a deep sense of commitment to national development that I bring warm greetings to this very important national engagement, the TETFund National Town Hall meeting from the Committee of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian University. I congratulate the Chairman of the Board of Trustees and indeed TETFund for organizing this very, very important and crucial meeting, stakeholder meeting. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, without TETFund, perhaps I wouldn't have been the chairman of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian universities. Because perhaps Nigerian universities would not have existed. And I'm saying this with all sense of seriousness. If you go around universities, colleges of education, polytechnics, you will find out that all campuses now are TETFund campuses of universities, polytechnics, colleges of education, and monotechnics. You will hardly see any single infrastructure that is not tagged TETFund intervention of one form or the other. And that is why I said without TETFund, Nigerian universities may not have existed. And if they existed, they would probably have been glorified secondary schools. And therefore, we want to appreciate TETFund for all that it has been doing to ensure that we can still stand tall. And I'm standing tall here, both metaphorically and also physically, to talk about our Nigerian universities and other tertiary education systems. Let us not forget, and I know the representative of the minister, honorable minister, actually stood here to say that they were on the trenches actually struggling for this creation. Professor Atahiru Jega is still alive. In 1992, there was nothing that the military government didn't do in order not just to stop this intervention, but to kill ASU as a whole. But they stood firm. They sacrificed themselves. They suffered. Some of them were arrested. Some of them were locked somewhere. But because of their steadfastness, because of their belief and the vision of the future of Nigeria, they stood firm until the ETF, which we now call TETFund, was established. So, distinguished guests here, whatever we think and we talk about ASU, I think it is important that we always remember that if nothing else, ASU has created a fantastic baby that we today celebrate. Let me join the Executive Secretary and other speakers in appreciating His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for believing that without quality education, there will be no economic and social development, which he demonstrated by a number of critical and innovative initiatives in the education sector. The Honorable Chairman, TETFund and other services actually indicated earlier on. I think for us, by the guts that Mr. President had to just remove that sunset clause, we will never forget Mr. President for doing that. Otherwise, we will have been in trouble and the Nigerian tertiary education will have been in serious trouble. I know at several occasions we also had interactions with the National Assembly in order to put more pressure to ensure that succeeded. And we thank Mr. President and all those who have actually facilitated in ensuring that sunset clause is actually out of the tax bill. Distinguished members, when you look at just had the little testimonies that we have just seen, I think that's actually demonstrated what I said, that without TETFund, tertiary education institutions wouldn't have existed. This forum is not just another gathering. It is strategic. It is a strategic platform for dialogue, accountability, and collective visioning for the future of our higher education sector. And TETFund has, over the years, played a pivotal role in transforming our tertiary institutions through infrastructural development, research, funding, capacity development, and innovation support. For this, I extend on behalf of the entire Committee of Vice Chancellors sincere commendation to the leadership of TETFund for their consistency, foresight, and also impact in tertiary education. Today's conversation is particularly timely at a period when knowledge economies are driving global competitiveness. Our institutions must be empowered to produce cutting-edge research, foster innovation, and equip our youth with 21st century skills. And I believe that this engagement will further strengthen the collaborative bridge between the government, the academia, industry, and society. I urge all stakeholders here present to seize this opportunity to share ideas frankly and forge partnership boldly. And I want to thank the DG for really coming out here to demonstrate and to commit the ministry to TETFund for such partnership. TETFund interventions nationwide. Together, we can ensure that our tertiary institutions remain a catalyst for national transformation and sustainable development. Let me make one request, and this request is particularly to the National Assembly. Distinguished senators and members of the House of Assembly, without proper budgeting for education, TETFund will be overstretched. Being an interventionist agency, it is currently being overstretched. And therefore, if there's no appropriate budgeting for higher education system, TETFund will cripple, and we will not see the impact that TETFund is expected to provide and continue to provide. At the moment, Honorable Chairman, the budgetary nature of our institutions is in such a way that the core mandate of universities and higher educations are not really actually captured in the budget. What is being budgeted nationally is personnel, capital, and overhead. That is what is currently being budgeted. The overhead that is being budgeted, of course, I think it's the years that actually say that. It's nothing to take home about, because it cannot even meet 1/10 of the overhead nature of institutions that we manage. The core mandate of the higher institutions is about teaching and research, and this is not budgeted. And in fact, without TETFund that has been providing interventions in these areas, I believe that the research in this country will probably have been completely out of our tertiary institutions, because research requires funds to be able to do that. So I'm requesting the National Assembly to really intervene. I think that there's one most important thing that the National Assembly, I'm requesting to really understand and really help tertiary institutions. The budgetary nature of any other agencies, like the ministries, is not the same and can never, especially universities. The budget and the funding nature of it must completely be different. And I call upon you to really look at this particular aspect. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, once again, in conclusion, on behalf of the academic community, I extend best wishes for fruitful deliberations and impactful outcomes that will come out of this town hall meeting. And once again, I congratulate the chairman of the BOT, and indeed the members of the BOT, and the executive secretary of TETFund, and the entire management of the TETFund. Once again, thank you all, and good afternoon for this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Professor Tanko Ishaya, Chairman, Committee of Vice Chancellors. Now, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, a couple more messages This time, let me invite the immediate past ASU president, Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, to address the gathering. Let's appreciate him as he comes to the microphone.
Thank you. The Chairman, Board of Trustee, ES, Rep of Senate and House, kindly permit me to stand on existing protocol because of time. I am standing on behalf of the President of ASU on this particular occasion. And I quickly talk on a number of issues. Number one, and the people have mentioned it so much, the issue of development levy and TETFund. I think it's a breach of our agreement. TETFund is supposed to stand on its own, and that levy should stand on its own. But what we have done now, we have these implications. One is that, whether we like it or not, there is a reduction in fund allocation to TETFund. If you say the levy is 4%, and TETFund is going to get to 50%, therefore you have reduced it from 3% to 2%. So whether we like it or not, TETFund allocation in percentage have reduced. And we should all accept that. That is one. Two, before now, and I must praise this ES, that the funds were allocated, were collected and indicated on a monthly basis. But now it's going to go to a pool that nobody will know how much it's in that pool. And our fear is this. In the year 2013, when we have negotiation with Goodluck Jonathan on that president, on need assessment fund, we were told that government had given us 200 billion to renovate. Only for us to find out that money will acquire it from a tool where you have money. It was a TETFund money that was collected. Till today, it's still being refunded at a very small amount. So what we have done now, they have reduced TETFund location. What we fought for during military and military accepted have been reduced by 1%. The past regime actually increased it from 2 to 3. Now it has been brought back to 2. We should note that very clearly. Then 3 is going to introduce bureaucracy in Nigeria. When you watch Nigeria, we must speak to ourselves the truth. We are still implementing 2024 budget. We are likely implementing 2023 budget as of today. If that is creep into TETFund, it has crippled the TETFund. Which means you go to goal like that budget. But what we'll be having now is every year you get your money, every month. Also, there's a problem there. By our own, and what we have seen, what was allocated this year is not what was collected. Thank God we have the sources. What was allocated that was shared is not what was collected. And you can check. Actually, one of the agencies actually reported it. So what happened to the balance? Then the next one, the collection. And I must thank the princess, Onoha, for what she had done, although she has slowed down, I know why. As at today, many agencies, I don't know what I started, we are not collecting the money. They were not paying. The era of Jonathan gave the banks 10 years, waiver, not to pay TETFund money. And we actually have met on that, but I hope you will continue with that. And the Senate will also join. Let those banks pay that money. 11 years TETFund money from all the banks will not give you less than 1 trillion. But they didn't pay. And some able took it forward. Even when the 10 years expired, they were still not paying. And they confirm it. So, and then you have some of these big men, big companies in Nigeria not paying. What do? They run to the Minister of Finance. They give them tax waiver. They want to tie road to their village, tie road to their company. They give them tax waiver. And give that tax waiver, TETFund money is also part of it. Which is not correct. When you look at those paying the heavy tax today, the big companies are those who are either foreign and what have you. Not our local one who are looking for, waiver here and there. So you can check. These are facts you can check. That is one. So we want to therefore recommend that TETFund should, on monthly basis, publish how much was collected for TETFund. They should also indicate companies that are paying, so that Nigeria will know those who are not paying. That way we'll know them. 2, as we speak so, and the president is also aware, that there's a huge sum of money in Central Bank belonging to TETFund, belonging to institutions that have not been utilized. Hope I'm right. That money is there. As the last time when we look at it, it was close to 600 billion. And none of those universities that misapplied this money, none of the vice chancellor or pro-chancellor have been punished. This is a public fund. The fund that was given to a university 15 years ago, maybe 1 billion. Today it's about 100 billion. And that money was not used. And that money is there. So, sir, we also have to put measures in place to ensure that universities and VCs, councils who are not using their fund well are properly dealt with. As we speak, there are still some universities, polytechnic and education that have 10 years backlog of money unused. Because those projects have been abandoned. We should not only be looking at the good side. When I was watching this film, I thought we were going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good one, the one middle, and the one that have been abandoned. I thought we were going to see the three. In this country, we should not be preaching only the good. We should talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. Then, because of time, I will not waste our time. TETFund was not also part of TETFund. But today, we have been told that money is being siphoned from TETFund to TETFund. And what is our idea about TETFund? And thank God, what we were saying against TETFund are now being, are now being said by TETFund. Number one, we said it to be misused by universities. They were the first to report it, and so university collected money from students and still collected from TETFund. That came from TETFund. Then, now, one thing we also said when we were starting TETFund, we said TETFund will reduce admission into Nigerian university, not increase. And go and check. We are doing a survey, and the survey is very clear. Admission in Nigerian university is reducing. Only a few parents and students will take loan and be encumbered till they graduate. A report by TETFund yesterday showed that if what some universities are charging now, some universities are charging, public universities are charging 2 million, 1.something million, 3 million as school fees because they can get the money from TETFund. And when the student graduating, it's already owing 30-something million. According to TETFund, how would that student pay? Many will commit suicide. And when we bought the TETFund, this is the third year. How many students have been given this TETFund? To my record, only 482,000 students have been given this money. In all Nigerian universities, polytechnic and education, and that is less than 10% of Nigerian students, equivalent to 98.8 million naira. Billion naira, I'm sorry. And what is 98.8 billion naira to Nigerian government? What is what? And we keep on saying, if we are really serious, that money should be going to the poorest of the poor as grant, not loan, because many will not participate in loan, knowing what the future will stand for them. In those good old days, they could. In those good days, they could. Because you can take it and run away. But today, any money you are taking, government can collect it with your name. So what I was saying, that there is a need, one, to monitor how the fund is used. And that can only be done in two ways. One, when the law of TETFund was passed in 2009, 1992-93, the decree then, ASU was made as a member of the board to also monitor it. But in 2011, under the leadership of Mahmoud, immediately past INEC, they tactically remove ASU and say universities. Tactically, and you are aware, go and look at the law. There too, we also found out that TETFund is now being overstressed. That was what happened when we, in 2011, ASU had to go on strike to say, TETFund, what you are doing, go to primary secondary school is overstressed. Let's bring it back to TETFund from ETF. We had to go on strike. And that was done. Today we are going there again. We are now funding TETFund, funding student loan, funding this, creating that, creating this. We are going the same way. And before you know it, the impact will become little or nothing. There is a need to concentrate on what was the idea of TETFund, not to bring what government should do as part of TETFund. TETFund is an intervention agency. It's not a funding agency. It's an intervention agency. But we are more turning it to the only funding source in Nigerian university. And then finally, we have to stop TETFund. That until a university is 5 to 10 years old, it cannot access TETFund. There should be a law. The law should be changed to make it that for any university to access TETFund money, it should have existed for about 5 to 10 years. To stop this issue of TETFund universities, to stop this establishment of community constituency project universities. You know them. You sit down for the National Assembly, you pass a law. You didn't even care how the thing was law. The president signed a new university. Let me give an example before I stop. Go to Zaria. Zaria have one of the best universities in Nigeria, ABU, with a very robust faculty of education. And I've asked myself, owned by federal government, why should federal government go and establish another university of education in Zaria? When that money, 1/3 of it, you give it to ABU, it will run a bigger faculty than that university. Go to Port Harcourt, the same. All over the place now, you are just establishing what we call shanty university. One, who are lecturing in them? With what we are doing to lecturers today, lecturers are leaving. ABU said in 10 years, less than 10 years, 2,000 of their colleagues left. In 5 years, 2,000. So who will lecture in those universities? On that note, let's be serious as a country. Finally, sir, with all due respect, I said this when the ES was organizing the program. We should be proud of our system. This type of commission occasion should not hold in a private institution. It should hold in a university, in a project built by TETFund, not, what do you call it? What do you call this thing? Not this one. I said it that time, and TETFund that time, instead of doing it, we're meeting a TETFund or NUC. We have done business as a university. We should believe in ourselves. If we want to hold it, if you need for a university that can host it, let a university host it. Go to the US and most countries, even when politicians are campaigning, where they do their, whatever you call it, is universities, not in private company. It's a waste of money. Thank you.
Professor Emmanuel Osodeke, immediate past ASU president. More like the fire still burns and the blood is still running hot with the activism of a unionist. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from a former ASU president. Let me invite also the immediate past president of COASU, Dr. Smart Olugweko.
Our distinguished chairman, please permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I'm not the immediate past president of COASU, but I have just a day to become immediate past. So this is my first of my last public outing. Thank you. I want to appreciate the fund for giving us this unique opportunity to be here today during this town hall meeting. And before I leave, I want to leave us with a thought concerning tertiary institutions in Nigeria and the role of TETFund. We've talked about the wonderful contributions of TETFund to tertiary institutions in Nigeria. And we have all agreed that without TETFund, we might not be talking about tertiary institutions anymore. that has remained a landmark issues that we continue to celebrate as far as this country is concerned. And if there's any good thing that we want to talk about in education in Nigeria, TETFund has actually become that landmark, and we want to appreciate TETFund for that. Honestly, we look at some of these issues and we have not been able to appreciate the fact that there are some critical matters that are also of paramount importance that will help our country to be able to achieve the development we all desire. And that has got to do with the issue of teacher education. And most of the times is an aspect that is being grossly neglected. We do not have the adequate knowledge of what willful neglect of teacher education is doing to this great country. We have talked about deliberate efforts on the part of TETFund and government at promoting many other aspects of our nation at the detriment of teacher education. And if we talk about teacher education, it remains the bedrock of our development. And until we take teacher education seriously, we might not be able to achieve the desired result. Recently, TETFund has taken giant strides at ensuring that medical education is given a facelift in terms of provision of adequate facilities and equipment that will make it to compete with other colleges of medical sciences all over the world. But why this deliberate effort is being done at the level of the medical sciences and engineering, we have not been able to match it up with what are the deliberate efforts being taken to promote teacher education. And we know that the problems we have today has got to do with the problem of teacher education. And a country that is grappling with more than 20 million out-of-school youth will not survive kidnapping, banditry, and robbery. And this has its remote cause as a result of the issue of teacher education. And we believe that as TETFund is taking deliberate efforts in other areas, they should also look at the issue of teacher education, take deliberate effort to promote teacher education in colleges of education, in faculty of education, to the extent that we'll be able to produce teachers, people that are proud to be teachers and who are ready to teach our children. And it has been reported by Joint Admission and Matriculation Board that 2 courses, 2 programs are not being subscribed to by Nigerian students, and these are education and agriculture. And a nation that we develop and do not have its youth subscribing to teaching and agriculture is only playing to the gallery. And until we do something that we attract our youth to education, to teacher education, to agriculture, we might not have started at all. And this is very, very important to us as a nation. And the other aspect I quickly want to talk about is on the issue of monitoring. Most of the times, the monitoring we have done at the level of TETFund has been posthumous. Posthumous in the sense that the havoc had been caused even at the level of implementation by some of the institutions before we actually go on monitoring. And I have been in some institutions whereby the edifice, the money expended on those infrastructures have not actually been utilized the way it's supposed to have been utilized because the monitoring was not done from inception. And we have said this, that monitoring should be institutionalized, even within each institution, whereby from conception the project, and it is on the basis of the recommendation of their report that the subsequent release of funds should be predicated. But we discover that most of the times this has not been done. There is no institutionalization of the IMC, the monitoring concept at the level of the institution. And therefore, most of the things are done. Many projects have actually been completed without they actually being useful to the institution. And I believe that this is very, very important. And lastly, I want to commend also the Mr. President, the President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, for approving for the first time, after many agitation from our union, that students that go on teaching practice should be paid stipends, monthly stipend, for them to be able to use during teaching practice. This is the first time in the history of this country that this has been approved. And this means a lot to us because there has been discrimination. In this aspect, why students who are in engineering, in other disciplines, when they go on internship or housemanship, whatever, they are being paid for going there. Why students who are teachers, who are in education, pay for going on teaching practice? But having talked and have conversation with the President, for the first time, our students who are going on teaching practice are also to be paid. And this has also been given as a task to TETFund to accomplish. And we believe we should commence implementation of this in order to raise teacher education to the level by which it deserves. On this note, I want to say thank you and God bless you.
Accountability. Unlike many agencies whose interventions are either invisible or untraceable, the fund's projects speak for themselves. The consistent adherence to due process and the relatively low incidence of scandals have helped to nurture a culture of respect for the institution. Next, partnership and public ownership. One of TETFund's most underappreciated achievements is its ability to create a sense of collective ownership. Beneficiary institutions are not passive recipients, but active participants in the planning, execution, and monitoring of projects. This participatory model fosters a sense of pride and responsibility among stakeholders and helps to safeguard projects from neglect or misuse. The next is credibility as a learning organization. Another dimension of public trust arises from TETFund's responsiveness to feedback and its willingness to adapt. The fund has demonstrated the ability to learn from experience and to correct administrative bottlenecks through periodic policy reviews, stakeholder consultations, and improved monitoring systems. This culture of continuous learning has enhanced institutional efficiency and sustained its reputation as a dynamic organization. Then academic and civic validation. Public esteem for TETFund is also reflected in scholarly evaluations and media coverage. Independent studies and education policy reviews consistently cite TETFund as an example of a functional Nigerian public agency that combines fiscal prudence with developmental purpose. Beyond academia, civic organizations and journalists often refer to TETFund's model as proof that institutional integrity is achievable within Nigeria's complex governance ecosystem. In essence, TETFund in the eyes of the public represents more than just a perception of success. It embodies a deeper social contract, one in which transparency, inclusiveness, and tangible results have fostered trust between the state and society. The fund's reputation stands as a reminder it must be earned, nurtured, and continuously renewed through performance, transparency, and moral credibility. For more than a decade, TETFund has built and sustained a reservoir of public confidence unprecedented among Nigerian public agencies. This trust, however, is neither permanent nor automatic. It must be guarded diligently if the fund is to sustain its legitimacy and relevance in the years ahead. Now, the topics under this section, the fragility of institutional trust, is some issue, as I say. The trust TETFund currently enjoys is not permanent. It's very fragile. Any actions, negative actions taken by the fund can begin to erode that. Then, second, leadership and continuity of institutional ethos. So there is a need to continue. The future of the fund will largely depend on the quality of its leadership. So strong institutions are often the reflection of visionary leaders who balance managerial competence with moral integrity and so on. The next, transparency and adaptive governance. I argue that in a digital age, citizens expect public agencies to be not only efficient, but also diligently transparent. TETFund's future credibility will increasingly depend on how it leverages technology to communicate with the public, track projects, and demonstrate accountability in real time. The next section, managing political and fiscal pressures. TETFund operates within a broader political and public trust is strengthened when stakeholders feel informed and involved, which is why it's very commendable for the chairman to organize this forum, because this is one of the fora where the stakeholders can be informed and be involved. The fund must therefore maintain open channels of communication with the academic community, industry partners, and civil society. Proactive engagement through town hall meetings, annual impact reports, and digital storytelling can sustain confidence in the fund's mission. Next, towards a vision of institutional permanence, I say in the long run, the goal should be to consolidate TETFund as a permanent national institution, one that outlives personalities and political cycles. This requires embedding its core values in the national policy architecture, strengthening its legal autonomy, and cultivating a new generation of administrators who embody the same commitment to integrity that defined its founding years. The next section is sustaining credibility and reform. Now, TETFund's credibility, painstakingly earned over decades, is one of its greatest institutional assets. Yet, credibility, like trust, is dynamic. It must be continually nurtured through reforms that respond to deliberate institutional innovation, consistent ethical leadership, and periodic renewal of its governance and operational system. And I list a number of things that are being done or need to be done. Deepening institutional reforms. The next, human capital and organizational learning. Number 3, strengthening monitoring, evaluation, and feedback mechanism. Number 4, embedding a culture of self-renewal. In sum, sustaining credibility is not a one-time achievement, but a continuous process of ethical vigilance and systemic adaptation. Through consistent reform, human capital development, and openness to innovation, TETFund can ensure that its name remains synonymous with trust, efficiency, and excellence in public service. Now, I come to the second to the last of my main sections, that is recommendations for sustaining public confidence in the fund. TETFund's record of achievement and the trust it has earned from the Nigerian public are products of deliberate design, disciplined execution, and principled leadership. To consolidate these gains, and preserve its positive image in the years ahead, the fund must pursue a deliberate strategy of sustainability, transparency, and innovation. And the following recommendations are proposed. 1, institutionalize transparency through digital reporting platforms. 2, strengthen stakeholder engagement and feedback mechanism. 3, develop a strategic communication and public trust. 4, institutionalize periodic impact and value for money audits. 5, scale up research and innovation funding. 6, maintain equity and zonal balance in resource allocation. 7, deepen collaboration with the private sector and industry. And 8, formulate a 10-year strategic plan for sustainability. Here I say TETFund should develop a comprehensive 10-year strategic plan outlining its long-term vision, key performance indicators, and measurable goals. The plan should emphasize sustainability, knowledge economy development, digital transformation, and youth empowerment. Such a blueprint will provide continuity across political cycles, safeguard the fund's institutional autonomy, and ensure that it continues to serve as Nigeria's most trusted public education intervention agency. These recommendations are not aspirational. They are actionable. If implemented faithfully, they will deepen public confidence, preserve institutional integrity, and ensure that TETFund remains a beacon of transparency and excellence in public administration for generations to come. Conclusion. The story of Tertiary Education Trust Fund is in many ways the story of Nigeria's determination to redeem its higher education system from the brink of collapse through innovation, discipline, and collective responsibility. From its humble beginnings as the Education Tax Fund in 1993 to its transformation into TETFund in 2011, the fund has grown into a national symbol of what is possible when governance is anchored in integrity and guided by a clear developmental mission. Over the past 3 decades, TETFund has delivered measurable and visible impact. Massive infrastructure renewal across campuses, investment in academic staff training, revitalization of research and publication, and institutional support for digital learning and quality assurance. These interventions have not only restored confidence in the public tertiary institutions, but have also demonstrated that good governance and credible leadership can thrive within the Nigerian public sector. Equally important is the moral lesson embodied in TETFund's evolution, and that is that trust, once earned, can transform public institutions into instruments of hope and national renewal. The fund's credibility has grown out of the integrity of its systems. Transparent disbursements, rigorous project monitoring, and a culture of accountability that does not encourage mismanagement, corruption, and undue political interference. Its achievements remind us that integrity and competence are not abstract virtues, but the foundation upon which sustainable institutions are built. As Nigeria faces the challenges of the 21st century, such as technological disruption, youth unemployment, and global competition, TETFund must continue to reinvent itself. Its role must go beyond financing to shaping the future of knowledge production, research commercialization, and innovation-driven growth. The fund's credibility will endure only if it continues to learn, adapt, and lead by example. The future, therefore, calls for vigilance. vigilance to protect the fund's autonomy, vigilance to uphold its ethical standards, and vigilance to preserve its social contract with the Nigerian people. In an age when trust in public institutions is fragile, TETFund stands as a living proof that public service, when done right, remains one of the highest forms of national duty. This lecture, TETFund in the eyes of the public, is not merely a reflection on a successful agency, but a mirror through which Nigeria's educational aspirations and governance ideals may be seen. It affirms that with integrity, commitment, and reform-minded leadership, the Nigerian state can indeed deliver for its people. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Professor Abubakar Rashid, former Vice Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, and former Executive Secretary of the National Universities Commission. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate Professor Rashid one more time. Thank you.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Welcome to a special episode of Goge Africa.
Welcome to Fashion of the 60s and post-independence Nigeria.
Indeed, Nigeria's fashion has evolved over time, making her the fashion hub of West Africa.
As a matter of fact, the fashion capital of Africa.
Indeed, it's Nigeria's independence, so...
Happy Independence, Nigeria!
Fashion is a means of identity for Nigeria, Africa's fashion giant. The beauty of her fashion industry is projected through her diverse ethnic groups, each making a bold and elegant statement. The Nigerian fashion industry has seen a transformation from a colonial-influenced trend related to its history with the British to ascertain her national identity through her diverse Afrocentric and elegant attires, attracting celebrities around the world, including pop star Beyoncé. Prior to colonialism, traditional Nigerian societies had indigenous textile industries. The Igbos had the akwete, a hand-woven linen cloth with elaborate designs. The Delta Igbos had akwocha. The Yorubas had adire, named after its preparation process of knotting and dyeing, ashoke and batik. The Tif of Benue has the white and black. The Hausa Fulani had their indigo dyed Guinea brocades. The Benin people wore linen that was complemented with beads by both the male and female folks. All these ethnicities had their distinctive motifs and symbolism in accordance with the cultural beliefs of the people incorporated into their clothing. In celebration of Nigeria's independence anniversary, Goge Africa was present to journey down memory lane from independence at 1960, tracing the evolution of fashion at the independence anniversary fashion exhibition hosted by Modella Couture, featuring Arewa Couture. The event was a chronicle of Nigeria's fashion journey from independence to contemporary times.